Am I supposed to know what's going on here?
I'm going to explain it.
Okay.
Why, do you know what's going on here?
No.
Alright, she doesn't know what's going on here. Welcome back. We didn't upload something last week because it's honestly been really annoying to try to find the Coosa board. I've been in touch with a bunch of different companies. People will say they have it, or they say I need to order 10 sheets or more, or they don't have it. I don't know. It's been really challenging to try to find Coosa in this area of the country, but I did find a supplier. One of them is called Total Plastics, working with a salesman named Eric. The Coosa was supposed to be there last week, and it wasn't. So I still haven't ordered it. And then he said it was going to be here this week, and I called him, and he's on vacation, so hope you're having a good time, Eric. But I do want to order some Coosa, and I'm not totally confident that this is going to work out, so I have been looking into alternatives for this transom. I've been looking at pour-in transoms, where you pour high-density closed-cell foam into the back of the boat with a form to kind of build a mold, basically. That's still on the table. I don't know what's going to happen yet because I can't get a hold of this Coosa. But I have been looking at some other composites. Before we get into the composites, which is going to be really cool, I really want to show you some other things that have been happening in the past 2 weeks. So let's jump to that, and then we'll come back to the composites. Cool? All right. Alright, this is the other piece of the puzzle that I've been working on. This is a cowl to a motor that I put a down payment on. I know some of you guys aren't super stoked about my Honda Civic videos, but that just tells me that you have not driven a cool, modified, old school Civic. Basically, I need to sell one of those Civics in order to afford this motor. I believe it's a late 1980s, early 1990s, 200 horsepower Mercury 2.4 liter. This motor, in some variant or another, was used in the F1 tunnel hull racing until like last year. Like the motorsports behind this exact outboard is just totally crazy to me. I grew up around these things. They sound awesome. It's a 2-stroke V6 over 2 liters. And what's really nuts about these is 200 horsepower. Yeah, you can get them to like 250, 275, sometimes even like 300 if they're modded. But they don't weigh anything because they're 2-strokes, right? 2-strokes are really light. And so the combination of a really light power plant on a really light air entrapment hull is what I am going for and how I want to achieve speed. Obviously, if you throw like 600, 800, whatever horsepower amount Finnegan's Game Over has, you can go pretty fast. But the difference in the thinking of that kind of boat to this is that this is an air entrapment hull. It's going to go faster than a regular hull because it's more out of the water. And the more weight you can remove, the faster you go. Now there's a double-edged sword to that because when you're really flying, if you catch a gust of wind, it can get scary. So that's not what we want to do. But this is how I'm planning to get to 80 miles an hour. 200 horsepower, composite hull, reduce the weight, and then maybe I can reduce the weight of this thing too if I go to like a 15-inch midsection or something, but that's going to be down the road. What I want to do is just get this thing wet this year because it is early July, and this thing is not anywhere close to ready. So I need to crank on this, but this is going to be the way forward, and I'm sure there'll be some videos about this motor in the future because they're freaking awesome. Yeah, super stoked. All right, so the other thing that's been happening is that I'm going to be doing trailer work. So here is my Aristocrat. I haven't even gotten this thing on the water this year. That's how far behind I am this year. This boat's been great. You guys have seen videos on it, but the trailer is such a piece of just I-beams, and like someone just hacked it off with like a torch, and then the suspension is shot on it, and it just makes a ton of noise. The paint is obviously terrible. It has a really terrible, whatever you call this, bumper. There's no winch on it. I hate this trailer. I don't want to drive anywhere far with such a terrible trailer. I actually had another Sleekcraft project boat for a little bit called a Sleekcraft Quai, and I wound up selling the hull and I took the trailer back. This is a trailer for a 1980s ski boat, like a V-drive boat, and I've modified it a little bit. It's not finished or ready for use with the tunnel hull Sleekcraft, but it had a cage right here to protect the rudder and the V-drive. I cut all that off to save a little bit of weight, and then I cut all the bunks off because that was designed for like a ski boat. I have some new plates made that were bent up that I'll be welding onto this side of these cross members of this trailer. This trailer is actually really overbuilt. I mean, it's all boxed in. It's nice. I got a pretty good quote on someone who's going to paint this whole thing, but what I want to do is weld those plates on to raise the bunks up so that it fits this boat. And then I'm going to take that trailer and scrap it, because that is a terrible trailer. So that's the overall plan. The issue is that I don't have a welder, so I got one. So check this out. Garage is kind of a mess, but I'm stoked, so I'm showing you guys anyway. Oh yeah, this is a Millermatic 2011. It can do 220 and 120. I actually needed the 220 because the plates that I have for the bunks of this thing are 1/4 inch thick. The problem now is that I had just assumed this right here was 220. It is not 220, it is 120. So I'm gonna have to figure this out. But once I have that, then I'm gonna be welding the bunks onto my trailer. So I'm really excited to get to use this thing. I bought this from some guy who bought it brand new and like used it for an hour. But yeah, stoked about this. Never had a welder, have welded a few times, always been pretty shitty at it, but you know, that's how you get better. All right, so this isn't exactly boat news, but check this out. New drill press. I have an old Delta that I restored, and that thing's probably from the 40s. This thing is a mid-1950s Craftsman drill press, so it'll kind of match this bandsaw, which I believe is late 60s. And then I have a benchtop grinder from 1951. I think that's a mailbox grinder. Anyway, check that one out. It's kind of cool. Restored it. Fully disassembled, new everything. But this is my first time using it, so I'm just recording it because this drill is really sweet. I'm excited, so let's do it. I don't know why. I think these things are rad. Alright, so now we are going to look at some composites by this company called Carbon Core. And I'm pretty excited about this. They are not sponsoring this in any way. It's just a company that is selling what I'm interested in. So we're going to get pretty sciencey. So I think we need some science glasses.
Science, okay.
So in my last video, I talked about doing honeycomb panels for the floor. There's a bunch of names for that. Nidacore is one of them, like a trademark name. But Carbon Core sells the same stuff. And so instead of ordering a sheet, I actually ordered a sample pack to kind of see everything they have to offer. This is cool stuff. This was 15 bucks, but they'll give you the 15 bucks when you make your first order. Again, not sponsored. This is just their sample pack. This is their version of Nidacore. So it's a honeycomb composite. The inside is polyethylene like a milk jug, and then the outside is this layer of bonded non-woven fabric. And what you do is you put resin on that and some what you do is you you have this non-woven fabric that you put fiberglass resin on, and then a layer of fiberglass, and once that cured, this is basically a really lightweight core. You get completely like a really full face bond to the fiberglass, and then it's just crazy strong and light. So you can see it's a little bendy, and that's because there's no fiberglass on this yet. So they also gave us this, which is a composite panel. This is basically this with a layer of fiberglass on both sides of it, and it's incredible how strong this is. Like, here, feel this one, bend it a little bit. See how it bends? Mm-hmm. Now try this one.
Wow. Yeah.
And like the weight difference is not much. We're actually gonna weigh these because I'm curious. All right, so the plastic honeycomb, let's see how much it weighs. Does it even show up?
Half an
ounce?
Yeah, half an ounce, yeah.
Okay, how much does this one weigh?
1.8 ounces. Huh. So, ounce and almost a half. Ounce and a bit.
Yeah. But still, compared to a piece of wood, if we just, that's what we should cut a piece of wood like
that
too.
size.
So that's kind of cool. Actually, you want to go look for a piece of scrap wood quick?
Sure. Wow. Yeah, almost double the weight.
Yeah. So, I mean, even though you're adding an ounce to this, it's crazy strong.
Yeah.
So, let's see what else we got here. So they have 3 different materials here for making foams. That's pretty sweet. We should weigh all of those. Here. 4 first.
Polyurethane or polyethylene.
Polyethylene.
Yeah.
What do we got?
0.9 ounces. 0.4. Wow, even with the holes drilled out of the 0.2. Look at that.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously you can get this foam in different densities as well, but this is just what they sent us. And lastly, just like they sell Nidacore, but they don't call it Nidacore, they also sell Coosa. So you can see that this is a high density closed cell foam, and these layers right here are layers of fiberglass sheet, and then on top and in the middle it's chopped strand fiberglass.
We call it Carbon Core, fiber reinforced panel.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. So let's see how much that weighs. So 2.7.
Still less than the wood.
Yeah, it's still lighter than the wood. I mean, I'm not going to be able to flex this wood much either, but it does flex a little. This does feel stiffer. So now we're going to see how stiff things are. Do you like things stiff?
Oh boy.
Let's go through
This
here.
whole video is one "that's what she said" joke. That's just all it is. Yeah.
So now that we have weighed everything, I have another sciencey thing that I want to do here. And I built a little testing rig here with a highly calibrated test weight. And we're just going to see how much stuff flexes. I'm not doing anything. I'm just saying. Let's see. She's going to test the stiffness of these boards.
Oh man, I don't want to be part of this.
How stiff can it get? Let's see. Let's just do a baseline. I think this one is the least stiff.
I really don't want to be part of this. Okay.
I'm not doing anything. I'm just saying which one of these is stiffest.
What do you think is the stiffest?
Yeah, so what I'm saying is you just line up the edge on the vertical.
Yep. Like that.
Yeah. So that is a 1/4 inch. Perfectly a 1/4 inch.
Okay.
All right. So let's try the next material, which is Carbon Core Composite Panel, which is that polyethylene. And this we might not be sciencey enough to even measure this stuff. I don't know. That's still 4.
Sure looks like it's still 4, just from this angle.
He ain't going nowhere. He's going nowhere. Where you going? Nowhere.
Polyethylene.
Polyethylene. I keep
Carbon foam
mixing them up.
polyethylene.
Yeah.
All right. And I don't know what density this is. This is going to be heavily dependent on density. Lift it up again. All right, go again. It went down about 1/8 of an inch.
Okay. So.
This one is the carbon foam PVC. Again, no idea what the density is, so obviously you'll get different strengths with different densities of the foam.
Not quite on the edge.
A little over 1/8 of an inch.
It's interesting that this flexed more,
It is.
but without any resin.
But
Right?
once you added the resin, it flexed less than
None
any
at
of
all.
these foams.
Yeah, exactly.
This
This
is
is
the polyurethane foam.
Polyurethane. Okay. Ooh, that's a lot.
Okay. 3/8 of an inch.
I want that to break.
All right, and now the Coosa board competitor, what do they call it? Carbon Core fiber reinforced panel. Yeah.
I have a prediction.
Do you think this is going to be the stiffest?
Yeah,
It did not move at all.
exactly. Yeah, it's gonna do nothing.
And again, like the reason that that's not moving at all is what we talked about in the last episode, where the fiberglass is providing that tensile strength. So the foam is kind of locking it together, but what's really creating the strength there is the inability of those threads to stretch out. It's all the tensile strength. All right, let's ramp it up with this big boy, which weighs 7 pounds and whatever ounces. So we're gonna try this one first.
We're doing all of them.
Oh yeah. We're gonna see.
One of these is gonna break. This is too heavy for this. It's not going to stay.
Just let go real quick. We'll just freeze frame it. Okay, wow, that's over 1/2 inch.
With it still holding it because it's tipping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
All right.
not good.
Next one, same thing with some glass on it.
Okay.
My prediction is this is going to be really stiff. This is what I want to do the floors out of. It didn't move at all. That's amazing. Okay. So yeah, that's really stiff, Sarah. This is the polyethylene foam.
Yeah.
About 3/8 of an inch.
Which is pretty good for over 7 pounds.
Yeah, I have a feeling the density of that one's pretty high since it weighed
It's like
a little much.
7.3 pounds.
Let's go to that
something
one
like
next.
Okay.
This is the PVC.
This one's gonna break.
Oh wow, that's
A lot.
5/8, maybe 3/4.
Okay.
A lot. All right, now we're gonna try our lightest foam. This is the polyurethane. I don't have high hopes for this surviving.
I know, I'm worried I'm gonna break it. Yeah, no, that's gonna
Oh!
knew that was gonna happen.
One could almost say that one is not stiff enough for
Oh
you.
my god, man.
All right, now we have the Coosa competitor. Nothing.
Nada.
So, out of all these materials, the stiffest two were these guys, right?
Yeah, ironically, they're like pretty comparable.
Well, we could up the weight even more and really see which one starts to flex
Ironically,
first.
like, well, I don't know. What's the weight differential between these two? .9 ounces, 2.7 ounces. So
here's what's going to happen with the boat. I'm going to call Eric, Total Plastics, on Monday, and if he does not have the Coosa, I think I'm going to have to go to a pour-in transom, which I believe is this exact foam. It's about $200 for a 5-gallon bucket, which I think would be enough to do my transom. It's a fairly small boat, but I'm up for either. I just think that getting away from wood and going to something that, you know, can never rot out and is crazy stiff is an awesome idea.
And the ants don't like.
Yes, because
No
then we will
ants.
not get ants.
Yes.
All right. So, I don't know. What do you think?
Science.
Bitch?
And the center foam is what the pour-in would be?
Yeah.
And then what do you do with the glass? Like, how do you make your own?
You don't, I mean, you can technically do it in layers. If you build a form and you cast a thin transom and then you move the form back, you could do it in layers and add glass to it, but from what I understand, you don't really need to do that unless it gets really, really crazy.
You don't think a lot of the strength of this is from the glass in it?
It is, but what you do is you pour in the transom and then you remove the form and then you're going to glass back over it. So that's how you're going to get the glass on the outside, the glass on the inside, and then an impenetrable core. So you're effectively making this with a few less layers. I think one of the reasons they add the layers to this stuff is so that it's easy to ship. Because if you think about this stuff just being 4x8 sheets without that glass in there, could get damaged? I don't know. No idea, but that's my guess. What was the most surprising?
That this doesn't flex at all. Like the jump in strength between the unglassed and glassed, you know, the same honeycomb is really an interesting.
It's going to be a cool floor material for sure. Because plywood is heavy, dude. So.
You could jump up and down on that.
Yeah, she will. All right, that's about it for this episode. Sorry there has been a lack of progress. It's really not been up to me. If it was up to me, I would have the Coosa and I would have the Nidacore honeycomb panels, but I don't. So, yeah. Also, I've been working on that Civic. You should check it out. They are cool. I don't care if you disagree. But I need to sell either the red one or the white one in order to afford the rest of that outboard. So that's going to be cool. I'm excited about it. She's excited about it. So anyway, stay tuned. Thanks for watching and have a good one.